Okay. How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Okay, let's do this. Hi, my name is Colton Neff, and I just came back from a trip to Uganda. Feels weird to say. I have not had enough time to process exactly all that happened, but let's just start from the beginning. My company held a contest for 2 of its employees to go on this trip alongside an amazing organization called Heal and Thrive Global. They promote justice and champion value for survivors of injustice and those that serve them around the world. I submitted a short and mediocre video, similar to the one you're watching now, and they chose me. There's a lot that goes into preparing for a trip like this, so let's start with the journal that Heal and Thrive gave us to help prepare for newbies like me. This was the new Bible I had been using for the last 2 weeks. I know it's a little beat up, but it came with me halfway around the world, so give me some slack. It contained everything from pre-trip checklists, what to pack in both your carry-on and your backpack, trip policies, what to-dos, what not-to-dos, FAQs about the country, its history, the history of the people we'll soon be meeting, and the story of not only the Heal and Thrive organization, but the stories of the people working alongside of it. I learned a great deal from it, and it made me ever so slightly more confident to take on this journey. Here's where things got a bit more difficult for me. Talking about myself. The last section of the journal has a 5-day pre-trip process where it asks you to respond to a variety of topics to get you ready. Day 1, surrender. The first day instructed you to ask yourself, what anxieties or concerns do you have about the trip? Here are my responses. That my calmer energy will be perceived as a lack of enthusiasm, that we'll all make it there and back safely, that I'm not worthy to be given this experience, and finally, that I do not get stopped by the TSA. After that, you were asked to write down your expectations of the trip. I said to be brave and smile through it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. To be loved and welcomed by people that do not know me. To learn, respect, and admire a culture few people will have the opportunity to experience. And to have my heart grow 3 times as big. It was a heavy and important day 1. Day 2, listening. It says spend some time asking yourself a word or a phrase of truth to focus on during the trip. I said, be patient, be mindful, be open. Be in the present. Be a vine of grapes, Marcus Rose. And serve the team. Day 3, breathe. This was an instruction on guided breathing and holding space for both the chaos and the magic that will surround us during the trip. For such beauty and transformation lay ahead. Day 4, belovedness. One of the main focal points of this trip is saying you are loved and worth loving. The focus is to recognize that if the truth that the moms in Uganda are loved and worth loving, so that is the cashier at the grocery store, the stranger on the street, and the person looking at us from our very own mirror. That if it's true for them, then it is true for you too. This was the toughest day I had writing my own thoughts down, but here's what I said. I'd like to think that I treat every single person I encounter with a sense of respect, love, and kindness, but it has been more difficult showing that to myself. How does acknowledging the truth of my own belovedness feel? The journal asks. It's not easy, I say, but something I should practice more often. I think I'm loved and worth loving. The difficulty lies in loving myself and not feeling worthy of it. It sounds like I was in a really good headspace and ready to travel across the world. I'm sure the people that were around me during this time could sense this as well. Day 5, gratitude. The journal says this: allow yourself to be filled with utter gratitude for what you are about to discover, the things that you will see, the people you will lock eyes with, the new truths you will uncover about yourself, others, and the world. So today, drink in gratitude and write it down. I said, I am grateful for the people who granted me this opportunity. I am grateful for Brandy, Heal and Thrive, and my fellow travelers for being stewards in this journey. I am grateful to my mother in more ways than I can count, but mostly coming on this trip with me. And that's the pre-trip processing done. Let's go. So then we were off. We went to Denver, to Newark to okay, maybe not, but that's not the important part of the story. We only missed out on 2 days in Uganda, but we made it there eventually. After a few planes, trains, and automobiles, we all made it to where we'd be staying for the next week. Meet my new roommate. Meet my new roommate and soon-to-be best friend, Matt. He likes escape rooms, his girlfriend, and most of all, birds. Anyway. Birds. Chapter 2. With all the introductions out of the way, I think it would be important to lay out just a portion of what Heal and Thrive / Dakota does, as well as what we got to experience. Well openings. This is the one thing I think most people are familiar with and what ProEdged helped raise money for to build in these villages. Before some of the villages had a clean water source close to them, they had to either travel upwards of 10 miles to get to their next source, which did not always guarantee that it was clean. Or they had to pull from a close water source like a pond that they shared with wildlife in the area. For example, when we visited the village of Aten, the people showed us where they got their water prior to the well. I think the video speaks for itself. But what else were they supposed to do? They needed water. Drinking this water had the exact effect that you might think. The men, women, and children often got sick, which led to them missing out on a lot of school and work. The well openings were an incredible and happy experience, but seeing that really drove home the impact on why clean water will change lives, families, communities, and generations. I'm sure most of you have seen the video that Brandy made after one of the well openings that ProEdged helped raise. It was truly an honor to be there and witness what all of you banded together to achieve. It's hard for me to find the words on how amazing this was, so let me read you what one of our team members, Chastity, said about the opening. For as long as anyone can remember, this village had been called Akure, meaning thirsty. A name born from generations without clean water, of long walks, dry seasons, and silent prayers. Today, that name meets a new story, with joy, singing, and the sounds of water flowing freely. The well is open. Clean, life-giving water now flows where there was once only hope. Hearts full, prayers answered, thirst no more. That is due to you, your hearts, and your generosity. Literacy centers. This is something I'm not sure if you guys are as familiar with, but what it entails is a group of 30 to 40 women going to school and learning the basics. Most of them never had a chance to go to school as little girls, but now as women and mothers, they are ready to show up to class eager and ready to learn. They soak up knowledge like reading, hygiene, math, and even the importance of stretching their bodies. They're learning, growing, and thriving, with their little ones watching and dreaming alongside of them. It's the culmination of these teachings that will lead these women to stay healthy, provide for their families, create businesses, and not be taken advantage of by people in the market. These classrooms were full of encouragement, laughter, and pride. A growing light that will soon become a true force in their communities. Data collection. On one day, we set out to visit 3 different villages to do some data collection. What this entails is breaking out into individuals and asking all of the moms about their education levels, if they had any as a child, and if not, why. Along with other questions like where they got their water, if it's clean, what kind of problems they're experiencing, and so on. Any and all data that we can collect to help better understand their needs. This was the shortened basic example of what the people of Dakota do to find what villages should be next to open a well and/or a literacy center. I was asking the moms why they were unable to go to school as children that I found very difficult. I suppose a part of me should have known the reasonings they gave, but it felt like a punch to the stomach when the first mom said that she had lost her parents at a young age. The next woman said that they were unable to attend due to the war breaking out and being forced to move over and over. It continued, one by one, and 12 women had a similar or combination of those horrific stories. How could I relate guilt, sorrow, and comfort when I can't even speak the same language as them? It felt like there was nothing I could do but to look them in the eyes and listen. I felt as helpless as I'm sure they did. Chapter 3. I'd like to share 3 moments from the trip that stuck out to me for one reason or another. The first being when we visited a medical facility. We decided to visit a local level 3 hospital. This place mainly saw people with injuries, malaria, and HIV. As one might guess, it's much different than what you might find in the US. Not only is there an employment gap in medical workers, the office can't even pay to hire more, leaving staff overworked and unable to treat all the incoming patients needing care. I akin the medical side of things to the literacy issue, but much worse. The women of sorority are intelligent and strong. They just needed the tool of education to be able to stay healthy and have financial success. On the medical side of things, the medical staff have the education, but lack the resources and staff to help people. All of this, along with the defunding of US aid, the medical system in Uganda was crippled even further. We then went into their care center where they held the patients. They had a total of 4 beds for all 20 plus people there, all in various states of injury or illness. It was something that was heartbreaking but important to see. You can hear on the news that we're defunding this or that, but when you go see and talk to the people that have been truly affected, it all becomes clear. Here's a patient record cabinet at the hospital. Each folder on this shelf holds a name, a face, a life. This was just one small area of one region that we visited this week. These folders are not paper, they're people. My second moment is from the personal day that we had. I was a bit nervous going into it, as we typically had a full team together to spread the energy and attention around to all the people in the village. But now it was going to be a much smaller group, consisting of my mom, Shelly, Matt, myself, and a few staff from the Dakota team to help translate for us. The purpose of the day was to better understand their daily lives, what they do, how they do it, and why. We were assigned to go to Ogilvy, a place that has been a part of Dakota for some time now. We, of course, had a warm welcoming. We started the day out by having everyone introduce themselves, followed by a prayer and some scripture reading about community and working together. We were then separated so my mom and Shelly could meet with some of the moms and learn how to cook a traditional meal, while Matt and I learned how to paint a house. Their main colors were black and orange, which were made out of charcoal and a clay-like rock. They placed those ingredients in a pestle and mortar to crush, to make into a powder, and then add a paste substance to give it shape and viscosity. Using those colors, Matt and I were tasked with painting one side of a house. We had a house that was already done for reference to give us an idea on what to do. I actually thought this would be kind of easy. Wrong. Well, Matt did a pretty good job, but the paint was just watery enough that if you grab too much of it at a time, it'll end up running down, coloring something you didn't want to. We were slow, getting laughed at and critiqued every step of the way. I had a blast. The typical layout for their pattern was an orange bottom, black center, and a creative drawing on the top. I figured I'd be able to come up with something on the spot, so I didn't think too much about it. When the time came, I thought I could paint a couple nice trees. I thought to Bob Ross where he'd use a sponge to create a blotchy treetop and a simple trunk. So that's exactly what I did. By the time I had finished the orange treetop, Jonathan, one of the translators, said, "The women are asking what you're painting." I told them and pointed to the nearest tree. They roared with laughter. I thought, okay, time to pivot. Like a bad tattoo, I could draw over it and create something anew from what was previously there. I already had 2 black parallel trunks, so I made a square. I looked back seeking approval like this was some kind of feat that I overcame. The moms gave me a, well, I guess it's better than whatever the hell that you were trying to make in the first place kind of look. Okay, not good enough. What else? I got it. The only way to improve upon a square is to give it depth. Let's turn it into a cube. This is gonna blow their minds. Halfway through painting my masterpiece, Matt looks over and sees it. He dies laughing, and so does everyone around us. It didn't occur to me until that moment that I had just painted a poorly drawn cube on someone's house as a decoration. Oh well, like a tattoo done poorly twice, you apologize and move on. The only thing I did to redeem myself is by helping them make more paint. We each had a turn with the pestle and mortar crushing the rocks. They were actually pretty impressed with my work. It told me I was strong. The next task involved showing us how to uproot a cassava plant, which is a root potato-like vegetable. Matt and I had a bit of a race whether he knew it or not. We took a hoe and dug around the plant to expose its roots. After that, you grab onto the base of the plant and pull. I won. Again, showing my strength. With all the hard work done, it was time to celebrate. Dancing. Duh. There's something about Matt that everyone, and I mean everyone, gravitates towards him. He doesn't have to say a word to these people and they adore him. I guess his dance moves speak for themselves. But even with the kids, he'll dance like a chicken for a second, and the next thing you know, he has an army behind him that'll do whatever he wants them to do. It's an incredible and true gift that I don't even know if he realizes he has. The day ended with something I had been looking forward to for a while. Eventually, everyone is granted the right to have an Ateso name to go along with their birth name. Something that should represent you, a name that should never change. One by one, we were brought up and a group of people decided on what we should be called. My turn came and they said I will be called Ogogum, which means the strong one. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I was honored to receive that name. A name I won't soon forget. What a day. My final moment comes from a day where we visited another village. There were always a few things that you count on happening every single time you visited a village. There'd be a lot of dancing, there'd be some speeches from the local leaders, some speeches from Dakota, a pastor leading a prayer, and then it would usually leave off with us standing up, introducing ourselves, saying hi, mostly in English, but some of us would try our best in their language. In this instance, it was a pretty hot day. We had all gathered in a building where little air could pass through. One of the leaders was introducing us to everybody, giving us thanks for us visiting them. Did I mention how hot it was? Anyway, during that speech, one of the leaders said, "May the Americans please stand up and say hi to everyone here." This wasn't my first rodeo at this point, so that's exactly what I did. I stood up, I smiled, and I waved. To my surprise, I look around to my team members and only see that there's 3 of us standing up. My teammate Latanya, Abby, and myself. It turns out he had said, "May the African Americans please stand up." Whoops. Thankfully, everyone there was kind enough and laughed at my misunderstanding. And hey, I got a new nickname out of it. Chapter 4. There is so much I did not have the time to talk about. So many stories from all the people that we met, the things that we saw, all of it. I felt my heart swell, break, and heal every single day I was there. I had felt every emotion possible during this trip. It was when returning home, finally having a moment to reflect, that I became overwhelmed with all of them. I felt profoundly sad and didn't have the right words to describe it. I experienced a life-changing week, so full of life and smiles, and the most kind and holy people I've ever met. Not having a moment to take it in until now. But as I got home, I was filled with the sense of empty solitude. A feeling of being so alone, even though I had friends and family that I could reach out to. For my sadness did not solely come from the trip, but it was the return of the life, the relationships, and the problems that I had mentally filed away. But would the people I shared with understand? Could I even find the words to help them understand? For the few people I have told about the trip since returning would innocently say, "Wow, I bet seeing all of that made you really appreciate what you have here." I can't blame them for thinking that. And from an outsider's perspective, I understand why, as I thought I might feel the same way. I think one of my team members, Becca, said it best. Once, their poverty might have made me grateful for my riches, but now I see how much their riches had to teach me about my poverty. Their faith, their compassion, their love, their unity. It is like no other. It's something that all of us dream of, but seems impossible to obtain. It's those values that no lack of food, water, education, or prosperity has ever made them waver. It is their greatest resource, and a resource that cannot be taken away from them. Chapter 5. I'd like to wrap all of this together by just giving my thanks. Thank you to Mark, Jennifer, and everyone that allowed me to go on this trip. Thank you to every single person at ProEdge for raising money towards this incredible cause. It is my hope that this becomes a tradition, so more than Shelley and I can be blessed in experiencing this journey. Thank you to all the team members that I became close with in this very short amount of time. Chastity, Curtis, Latanya, Becca, Aaron, Abby, Matt, Shelley, and of course, my mom. Thank you. Thank you to all the team members at Dakota. God bless each and every single one of you. You taught me how to truly love and care for people without knowing who they are. You are doing the Lord's work every single day, whether you see it. Keep going, and I hope to see you again soon. And finally, thank you to Brandy, for the one that made this all possible. Your energy, heart, kindness, and love cannot be matched. You are the physical embodiment of a saint. While I gazed upon every sunset that was to be had during that week, I left being unsure if I had earned any of them. But I did see so many people earn theirs. I think I can rest easily with that outcome, because at the end of the day, you are loved and worth loving, and so am I. Now with that said, Yoga Kere, Ikakilor Ogogon Koltenek. Salaman no. Hold the montage.
Away from here, and I'm a stranger in this country where
wait, hold on a second.
Yeah.
They even gave me this awesome stick. Anyway, sorry, keep going. Go ahead, roll it.